And that may sound vague, but in Hollywood, it speaks volumes. Small things are never just small. Not when they happen repeatedly. Not when they create ripples through a production environment built on timing, ego, and precision. So let's start with how the day began. Meghan arrived 7 minutes late. 7 minutes doesn't sound like much, and in normal circumstances, it wouldn't be. But Amazon MGM Productions run on military-level schedules. Every minute costs money. Every delay affects lighting, staging, blocking, and actor pacing. And arriving late is one thing. Arriving late with an entourage is another. Because Meghan didn't step out of her car alone. 3 people followed behind her, a stylist, an assistant with 2 phones, and a PR handler who carried a tablet like it was a royal decree. Crew members exchanged glances. They'd been warned the night before to prepare for Duchess-level protocols. No one knew what that meant. No one wanted to ask. Then came the first ripple of tension. A production assistant, a young guy named Chris, smiled and said, "Good morning, Meghan." And according to multiple witnesses, Meghan paused, turned slowly, and replied, "It's Duchess. Please use my correct form of address." Imagine being a PA on a Hollywood set. Your job is to keep everything moving. You're underpaid, overworked, and constantly terrified of messing up. Chris apologized immediately. He tried to laugh it off. Everyone pretended it wasn't awkward. But it was awkward. Deeply. Visibly. Unmistakably. This was the first sign that Meghan wasn't just stepping into her role. She was stepping into royalty mode. And it landed with a thud. Because here's the thing that foreign audiences don't always understand. Hollywood doesn't do titles. It doesn't matter if you're a duke, duchess, prince, princess, billionaire, Oscar winner, NBA legend. No one on set plays by royal etiquette. People are first names. Always. Without exception. So when Meghan corrected a PA over a title, at 8:12 in the morning, people took notice. But that wasn't the only ripple. At 8:27 a.m., Meghan walked into the makeup trailer. The lead makeup artist, Mariah, greeted her warmly. "Morning, Meghan." Meghan blinked, tensed, tilted her head. Again, she replied, "It's Duchess." Mariah froze for a fraction of a second. Not because she was intimidated. Mariah had worked with A-listers, megastars, even people far more temperamental than Meghan. No, Mariah froze because she wasn't sure if this was a joke. Some actors do that. Deadpan humor, dry irony, playful teasing. But Meghan wasn't smiling. She wasn't laughing. She wasn't even pretending to be lighthearted. She was serious. The energy in the makeup trailer shifted. Small talk died. The other stylists put their eyes down. Mariah simply nodded and got to work. And that small moment, set the tone. But here's where things get interesting. Lily Collins stepped into the makeup trailer not long after. Lily, unlike Meghan, blends into a crew like she's one of them. She brings her own coffee. She carries her own bag. She remembers names. She sits cross-legged in her chair like she's chatting with friends. So when Lily entered the trailer, she greeted everyone warmly, casually, as she always did. "Hey, Mariah. Hey, guys. Hey, Meg." Meghan stiffened. Meg. Not Meghan. Not Duchess. Meg. A nickname. A casual nickname. Lily didn't mean anything by it. It wasn't disrespect. It was friendliness. That's how she speaks to people. Natural, unforced, disarming. But Meghan didn't like it. She didn't say anything. Not yet. But her reaction was visible. One witness said Meghan's jaw clicked. That silent tension you see when someone is trying not to show they're bothered. 3 minutes later, after Lily had sat in her chair, Meghan leaned toward her stylist and said, quietly, but not quietly enough, "Why is she calling me that?" The stylist didn't answer. What could he possibly say? And here's the moment that set the stage for everything that followed. Lily overheard. She didn't react immediately. She didn't apologize. She didn't try to smooth things over. Instead, she simply said, calmly, evenly, "Oh, I thought we were on a first-name basis. If you prefer something else, let me know." It was neutral, professional, kind. But Meghan interpreted it differently. One crew member said Meghan's expression shifted into what they called royal mode, a kind of poised, cold alertness. She simply replied, "I prefer Duchess." And Lily, bless her, blinked, smiled politely, and said, "I'm sorry, but I don't use titles on set. It keeps things equal. Hope that's okay." That sentence, "I don't use titles on set," would become the spark. Because Meghan did not respond. She did not smile. She did not nod. She simply turned her face forward and said, "Let's continue." From that moment on, the tension became almost physical. Every interaction felt weighted. Every moment felt delicate. And Meghan's team, especially her PR handler, noticed immediately. Because titles mean different things to different people. To Meghan, Duchess was an identity she fought for, defended, and believed was her rightful address. To Lily, a title was something that didn't belong in a professional environment meant to run on equality and collaboration. Two worlds, two mindsets, two incompatible philosophies, colliding in one tiny makeup trailer. But the tension didn't stop there. After makeup, the cast moved into the rehearsal room. Lily and Meghan were supposed to run lines together, just a basic warm-up. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional. The scene wasn't even difficult. In fact, it was a comedic beat. But from the moment they began, something felt off. Meghan seemed irritated, distracted, easily triggered. Lily, meanwhile, stayed calm, flexible, and open, but the more relaxed she became, the more tense Meghan grew. At one point, the script coach said, "Great, can we try that again, ladies?" And Meghan snapped, not loudly, but sharply, "It's Duchess. Please address me correctly." The room went still. Everyone froze. Even Lily looked momentarily stunned. The script coach, who had worked with celebrities far more demanding, simply blinked, nodded once, and said, "Of course, let's reset." But here's the crucial detail. Lily didn't address Meghan as Duchess. Not once. Not during rehearsal. Not during the break. Not during blocking. And Meghan noticed. Oh, she noticed. At 10:13 a.m., during a 5-minute reset, Meghan's PR handler was overheard whispering, "She's not respecting protocol. She needs to understand the hierarchy." Hierarchy. That's when a few crew members exchanged glances. The kind of glances people make when they realize something small is about to become something very big. Because hierarchy doesn't exist on a film set the way it does in royalty. Actors are peers. Directors are leaders. Crew are specialists. Titles don't apply. You cannot outrank someone because of ancestry, marriage, or media presence. The only hierarchy that matters is the call sheet. But Meghan's team didn't seem to understand that. Or maybe they did understand, but didn't care. Either way, the divide deepened. And then came the incident with the chair. During the first blocking session, Meghan walked into the rehearsal area and found Lily sitting in what Meghan believed was her chair. A simple folding chair with no name on it, placed by a random crew member who never imagined it would cause drama. Meghan approached, paused, and waited for Lily to move. Lily, not recognizing the expectation, stayed seated. Meghan finally said, "That's my chair." Lily looked down, confused. There was no label, no indicator, just a regular set chair. So Lily said, "Oh, sorry, it wasn't marked. Want to sit together?" A friendly gesture, a collaborative offer. But Meghan didn't take it that way. She stiffened, stepped back, and said, "No, I have assigned seating." Assigned seating? On a set? That's not a thing. Even A-list actors don't have assigned seating. They have trailers. They have designated holding areas. But on set, in a rehearsal room, it's open seating unless otherwise noted, and nothing had been noted. Lily moved anyway, apologizing lightly even though she had done nothing wrong. But the damage was done. Another ripple, another shift, another moment where tension seeped deeper into the atmosphere. Crew members later said that by lunchtime, the energy was fragile. People whispered. People avoided eye contact. People kept their distance from the two women unless absolutely necessary. Because at this point, it was clear to everyone. Meghan wanted something Lily wasn't going to give. Control, recognition, deference, a title. And Lily wasn't being stubborn or defiant. She simply didn't believe in titles in a professional space. It wasn't personal. It wasn't malicious. It was principle. But Meghan took it personally. And the more Lily remained calm, steady, and professional, the more agitated Meghan became. There was a moment just after 12:30 p.m., during a lighting adjustment, when two crew members overheard Meghan say to her handler, "She's doing this intentionally." She being Lily. But Lily wasn't doing anything intentionally. Not disrespecting, not provoking, not challenging. She was just existing. And sometimes, That's enough to trigger tension when egos collide. When lunchtime came, Lily joined a group of crew members outside at the picnic tables. Laughing, chatting, eating salad from a takeout bowl. Meghan, meanwhile, stayed inside her trailer with her team, blinds down. This contrast, Lily blending in, Meghan isolating, fed whispers. Even Jason, Orley noticed. He stepped into Meghan's trailer around 1:18 p.m. for what insiders described as a tone-setting conversation. No one knows exactly what was said, but witnesses say Jason walked out rubbing his forehead like he'd just mediated a diplomatic summit. And after lunch, everything got worse. Because the next scene involved physical proximity, Lily and Meghan standing close for a comedic exchange. Nothing aggressive, nothing difficult, but it required Lily to stand within 3 feet of Meghan. Meghan didn't like that. She kept adjusting her mark, stepping back, asking for more space. Finally, after yet another adjustment, Lily asked gently, "Is this okay? Let me know if you need me to move." And Meghan replied, "I need you to respect boundaries." That sentence froze the room. Boundaries? In a scene requiring closeness? With a co-star who had done exactly what she asked? But Meghan wasn't referring to physical boundaries. The word boundaries was code for something else. Something deeper. Something that had been simmering all morning. Titles. Respect. Protocol. That's when Lily, for the first time, looked frustrated. Not angry. Not defensive. Just tired. And she said 5 words. The 5 words that would ignite the confrontation in the hallway later that day. "Meghan, I'm not calling you Duchess." The air cracked. It didn't shift, it snapped. Everyone felt it. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. There are sentences that change the tone of a room. Then there are sentences that change the course of an entire day. Lily Collins' 5 words did both. But here's the thing. Those 5 words didn't sound like an insult. They didn't sound petty. They didn't sound combative. They sounded calm, measured, grown-up, like someone explaining a boundary, not breaking one. But calm sentences can still explode when nerves are exposed. Let's rewind to the exact moment it happened. The moment the energy on set shifted from tension to inevitability. It was 2:07 p.m. The cast and crew were preparing for a simple walk-and-talk rehearsal. The kind of scene actors can do in their sleep. Light blocking, minimal props. No emotional weight. Lily was holding her script. Meghan was adjusting her necklace. A lighting tech was lowering a panel overhead. Everything was proceeding normally, until the script coach said something most people wouldn't think twice about. "Okay, ladies, let's reset from the top." Ladies. Plural. Neutral. Professional. Lily didn't react. Meghan did. And Meghan's reaction wasn't explosive, not yet. But it was visible. Her shoulders tightened. Her lips pressed flat. She glanced at her PR handler with a look that said, "Are we really doing this again?" That's when Lily, friendly, well-intentioned Lily, took a step closer to her, trying to smooth the atmosphere. Because Lily had the kind of personality that tries to fix tension, not fuel it. She was the peacemaker, the kind person, the type who apologizes when someone bumps into her. So with the sweetest, most unintimidating tone, Lily tried to check in. "Everything okay?" She meant it sincerely. But Meghan interpreted it through a different lens, a lens that had been fogging up since morning. She responded sharply. "I would appreciate it if people address me properly. That's all. Address me properly." That was the core issue. That was the battle line. That was the unspoken war of the day. Lily blinked. Once. Slowly. Surprised. Because to Lily, film sets were equal spaces. No titles. No hierarchy. No status. Just talent and teamwork. To Meghan, titles were identity. Validation. Recognition. Respect. But Lily wasn't being disrespectful. She was being consistent. The same way she treats every co-star, from newcomers to legends. So she clarified, gently, "Meghan, I don't use titles with colleagues. It keeps things even. I hope that's all right." Here it was, the sentence that would haunt the day. Meghan inhaled sharply, exhaled slowly, and said, "It's not all right. I've earned that title." Earned. A loaded word. A heavy word. A word that carried years of Meghan's struggles, battles, public humiliation, and personal insecurity. But Lily didn't respond emotionally. She responded honestly. She simply shook her head and said the 5 words. "Meghan, I'm not calling you Duchess." Those were the words. Calm. Simple. Unthreatening. But clear. Meghan's reaction was instant. Her eyes widened, not dramatically, but enough for witnesses to notice. Her chin lifted slightly, the way someone lifts armor. Her fingers tightened around her script pages. You could feel the silence. Taste it. The kind that makes people hold their breath. The script coach looked away. The boom operator took a step back. Orley pressed his lips together like he was trying not to sigh. And then, for the first time that day, Meghan's voice cracked just a little as she responded. You're being disrespectful. Lily didn't raise her voice, didn't step forward, didn't counterattack. She said, I'm being consistent. That's all. Consistency is not confrontation. But when someone feels challenged, neutrality can feel like rebellion. That's when Meghan's PR handler jumped into the conversation, speaking too softly for most of the crew to hear. But Lily heard it. She can't speak to you like that. Remind her of your position. Remind her of your position. It was quiet, but not quiet enough. And that's when Lily's tone shifted, not angry, not indignant, but resolved. She looked directly at Meghan and said something unexpected. Your position doesn't change mine. That sentence hit harder than any slap. Because for Meghan, position was everything. For Lily, it meant nothing. People on set later described that moment as the spark meeting the fuse. Meghan's eyes narrowed. She looked at Lily with an expression that was equal parts disbelief and frustration, like she couldn't fathom why someone wouldn't give her what she believed she deserved. Are you refusing to acknowledge my title? Meghan asked. Lily's reply was immediate. I'm refusing to treat you differently from anyone else. Honesty, fairness, equality. These were Lily's core principles. But on that particular day, in that particular room, those principles felt like weapons. Because Meghan didn't want equality. She wanted recognition, validation, respect. And maybe, just maybe, she wanted the power dynamic to tip in her favor. But it wasn't tipping. It wasn't even leaning. It was leveling. And a level playing field is the last place someone wants to be if they're clinging to a title. Meghan swallowed hard. Her shoulders stiffened. Her voice dropped lower. You should be careful how you speak to people in my position. Lily didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't apologize. Instead, she asked a question that stunned everyone. What position is that? Because we're both actors on the same call sheet. Boom. The room stopped breathing. Someone actually dropped a pen. The clatter echoed like a gunshot. The lighting tech whispered, "Oh my God." But Lily wasn't trying to be cruel. She was stating a fact. On a film set, titles mean nothing. Call sheets mean everything. Meghan's face went cold. It was the moment, the exact moment, the dynamic between the two women changed. Not because Lily challenged Meghan, but because Lily didn't. She didn't cave. She didn't retreat. She didn't feed the hierarchy. And that refusal, that quiet refusal, was the most confrontational thing she could have done. Meghan stepped closer. Lily stayed still. Meghan lowered her voice. Lily kept her steady. Meghan's PR handler whispered something frantic. Lily ignored it. Witnesses say Meghan's breathing changed. Shallow, quick, the kind that happens when adrenaline spikes. But Lily remained calm. Calm to the point of irritation. Calm in a way that made Meghan feel unheard, unacknowledged, unvalidated. And that kind of calm can be infuriating. Because calm people don't play the game. Calm people don't fold. Calm people don't grant power. Calm people hold the mirror up. And sometimes, what the mirror shows isn't flattering. Then came the line that would later become infamous. The line Lily spoke without anger, without malice, but with absolute firmness. I respect you. I do. But I won't use a title when we're working. That's not how sets work. And you know that. It was diplomatic, but definitive. Meghan blinked several times. Fast, sharp blinks like she was processing the words and rejecting them at the same time. Then, in the most controlled voice she used all day, Meghan said, I don't appreciate being told how this industry works. Again, a loaded sentence. Because Lily wasn't talking about the industry. She was talking about respect. But Meghan interpreted it differently. Filtered through insecurities, expectations, and a lifetime of public scrutiny. What happened next happened fast. Orley, who had been hovering near the monitors, called a short break. Not because the scene needed it. Because the room did. He stepped between the two women, guiding Meghan gently toward the exit, speaking in that director voice that sounds calm even when you're suppressing panic. Let's take 5. Reset. Everyone breathe. Meghan didn't fight it. She walked out of the room. Lily stayed standing, script in hand, expression a mixture of confusion and concern. Then someone, a grip who didn't realize Lily could hear, muttered, "Man, she pushed the wrong person today." Lily didn't acknowledge it, but she heard it. Every word. She simply exhaled, shook her head, and sat down. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 15, and each passing minute made the tension heavier. When Meghan finally emerged from the hallway leading back toward the set, she wasn't alone. Her PR handler was right behind her. Her assistant was in front of her. Her stylist trailed the group. A four-person formation. And Meghan's expression? Closed. Calm. Controlled. That kind of calm, the tight, forced kind, is often a sign someone has decided something. A decision. A line. A breaking point. She walked past Lily without looking at her. Without speaking. Without nodding. Without acknowledgement. And Lily felt the temperature drop. Something was coming. Something unavoidable. And then it happened. The moment no one could have predicted, yet everyone, in hindsight, saw coming. Lily walked toward Jason Orley to ask a question about the next blocking setup. Meghan walked toward Jason at the exact same time. Their paths crossed in the center of the hallway. Lily said, "Jason, quick question about the timing." Meghan interrupted, not with words, with a look. A cold, hard, penetrating look. Then she spoke, softly, but the hallway acoustics amplified the words. "You need to stop undermining me." Lily blinked. "Meghan, no one is undermining you." "You are," Meghan said. "No, I'm not." "Yes," Meghan insisted. "You are." And that's when Lily said the sentence that ended the conversation, ended the piece, and set the stage for the hallway confrontation caught on camera. A sentence so neutral it shouldn't have sparked a fire, and yet it did. "Meghan, I'm not calling you Duchess. And that's final." Meghan inhaled sharply, and for the first time all day, her composure cracked. Her jaw tightened. Her voice shook. Her hand lifted. Not to strike. Not yet. But in frustration, in disbelief, in emotional overload. That moment, that tiny, explosive moment, was the beginning of the hallway incident. And everything that followed would be caught on camera. But what Meghan said next, what she whispered just before turning the corner with Lily behind her, that was the line that made crew members realize this wasn't going to resolve quietly. "You're going to regret this." And Lily, steady as ever, replied, "No, Meghan, I really won't." But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. There is a moment, right before a person snaps, when something in their eyes changes. You've seen it before. In arguments. In confrontations. In viral clips of celebrities losing their cool in public spaces. There's a flicker, a tightening, a shift in posture. The breath gets shallow. The spine straightens. The face becomes too still. That moment happened to Meghan Markle at exactly 2:41 p.m., and several people saw it. Some described it as a switch flipping. Others said the temperature in the hallway dropped. One crew member said, "I didn't see her break, but I saw the second right before." To understand why this moment set off the slap incident, we need to understand the psychology behind it. Because Meghan didn't explode out of nowhere. She didn't lash out without warning. There were signs, dozens of them, building like pressure inside a boiler. And Lily's refusal to call her Duchess wasn't the cause. It was the trigger. Let's rewind to the hallway seconds after Lily said, "I'm not calling you Duchess." And that's final. A sentence so soft, so calm, so diplomatic. And yet, it landed like a punch. Meghan froze. Just for a heartbeat. But a freeze says more than an outburst ever could. She wasn't confused. She wasn't surprised. She was offended. Deeply. Personally. Viscerally. Because to Meghan, titles were not superficial. They were the last remaining evidence that she had once stood inside one of the most powerful institutions in the world. Even if she had walked away from it, even if she had clashed with it, the title represented something she would not give up. Status. Identity. Validation. Worth. Survival. To Meghan, Duchess was armor. And Lily refusing that armor felt like someone stripping a soldier mid-battle. The hallway suddenly felt too small, too loud, too crowded. Meghan's chest rose and fell faster. Her nostrils flared, barely noticeable unless you were watching closely. Her lashes lowered, tightening around her eyes. People who knew her well would have recognized the signs. People who didn't simply felt something was wrong. Let's paint the scene. The hallway had harsh overhead lighting. Cold, fluorescent, unflattering. Shadows gathered in the corners like witnesses. Technical equipment lined the walls. A rolling rack of costumes sat near the exit. The air smelled faintly of coffee, dust, and fabric dye. The tension? Thick enough to see it. After Lily's final refusal, Meghan didn't respond immediately. She swallowed hard, jaw tightening, face paling slightly. Her fingers curled inward, clenching the edges of her silk blouse. Lily, not realizing the level of emotional pressure building inside Meghan, turned slightly toward Jason Orley, ready to continue the discussion about blocking. And that, ironically, is what broke Meghan. Because Lily turning away, even casually, even politely, felt to Meghan like dismissal, like rejection, like disrespect. Witnesses later said Meghan whispered something under her breath. Something too soft to catch fully, but one grip swore he heard. She keeps minimizing me. That word, minimizing, would come back later in HR statements. Meghan stepped forward. Not aggressively, not dramatically, just forward. Lily turned back, startled by the proximity. Is there a problem? Lily asked. Her voice wasn't hostile, but to someone already emotionally fragile, neutrality can sound like condescension. Meghan's response cracked the tension like a whip. You embarrassed me. The words hung heavy. Lily blinked, visibly taken aback. Meghan, I didn't embarrass you. You did, Meghan shot back. You undermined me in front of the director, the crew, everyone. Lily shook her head gently. I didn't undermine you. I set a boundary. That word again. Boundary. For Lily, a boundary was clarity. For Meghan, a boundary was rejection. And rejection is the fastest route to a breaking point. But what no one realized was that Meghan's emotions hadn't started spiraling because of Lily alone. Meghan's morning had already been shaky. Her stylist had warned she looked tired. Her assistant had received a tense call from a streaming executive. Her PR handler had whispered that certain press outlets were preparing negative stories about her. She was already overwhelmed, already feeling judged, already carrying too many unspoken anxieties. So Lily's refusal wasn't an isolated incident. It was the final straw on a pile of insecurities. Now imagine all those emotions compressing inside a tight hallway filled with expensive cameras and stressed-out crew members. That's the moment the switch flipped. Meghan's voice rose, not loud, but sharp. I deserve respect. It was the first time all day she let her voice slip from controlled to heated. Lily stepped back slightly, surprised. You have my respect, she said. You just don't have my obedience. Boom. That sentence hit Meghan harder than the first. Obedience. Another loaded word. To Lily, it was simply a clarification. To Meghan, it sounded like defiance. No one here owes you obedience, Lily added. That was the match. You could almost hear the ignition. Meghan took a step closer. Witnesses describe her posture as leaning forward like a wave about to crash. Her hand lifted a few inches. Not in a slap motion, at least not yet. More like someone talking with their hands, emphasizing emotion. But the gesture was fast. Too fast. Sharp enough to make Lily flinch. And flinching in front of someone in meltdown mode often escalates things. Meghan saw the flinch. Interpreted it. Reacted. You're afraid of me? She demanded. No, Lily replied immediately. Just surprised. Surprised. Not intimidated. Not impressed. Not submissive. Surprised. The calmness in Lily's answer destabilized Meghan more than shouting ever could. People underestimate the power of calm in conflict. Calm can disarm. Calm can expose. Calm can corner someone into confronting their own behavior. Meghan didn't want calm. She wanted compliance. Instead, she got neutrality. And neutrality triggered panic. Her breathing quickened. Her voice dropped to a whisper, low, shaky, vibrating with emotion. You're making me look ridiculous. Lily shook her head again, slower this time. No, Meghan. You're doing that to yourself. That sentence shattered Meghan's composure. Her hand lifted again, higher this time. Fingers tense, wrist tight, shoulder rising. It wasn't a rehearsed gesture. It wasn't a performance. It was raw, instinctive, emotional, stress-induced. One witness described it as the kind of reflex someone has when they've been bottling something up for too long. Another said, it wasn't malicious. It was impulsive. Another added, I don't think she planned to hit her. I think she planned to make a point and lost control. But here's the critical detail. Lily didn't step away this time. She stood still. And stillness in the face of someone else's anger can be incredibly destabilizing. Meghan's expression flickered. Shock, frustration, disbelief. Why wasn't Lily retreating? Why wasn't she backing down? Why wasn't she intimidated? Meghan's hand hovered. Lily's eyes met hers. Calm, steady, unwavering. This image was burned into every witness's mind. Two women, two worlds, two opposing energies locked in a silent standoff. The hallway stretched around them like a stage. Meghan's PR handler whispered urgently, "Meghan, let's go." But Meghan didn't move. She whispered, voice trembling, "She's disrespecting my title. She's disrespecting me." Lily's reply was soft, firm, and fatal. "Your title isn't the issue. Your behavior is." That was it. The breaking point. Meghan's hand moved. Fast, sharp, reflexive. Not a graceful motion. Not a practiced slap. A messy one. Raw. Emotion-driven. Crew members gasped. Someone whispered, "Holy," before covering their mouth. And then came a sound. Not loud. Not crisp. Not clear enough to identify without audio enhancement. A sound that could have been a palm hitting fabric, a hand brushing an arm, a wrist bump against a script binder, or a slap. The camera caught the movement, the blur, the angle. It did not catch the contact. But the emotional explosion was undeniable. Meghan's chest was heaving. Her eyes were wide. Her hand twitched. Lily's expression? Neutral. Too neutral. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She didn't recoil. She simply stared at Meghan for a long, frozen second. Then the tiniest expression crossed her face, a mixture of hurt and disappointment. Not fear, not anger, just sadness. And that sadness did something unexpected. It made Meghan step back. One step, then another, as if realizing what she had done, or what she might have done, or what she had just allowed to happen. The hallway fell silent. No one breathed. Then Jason Orley rounded the corner. He saw the posture. He saw the tension. He saw the aftermath. And his face drained of color. Because directors have two nightmares on set. A safety incident, and a star-on-star conflict. This was both. "Enough," Jason said, voice low. But Lily didn't move. Meghan didn't move. They stood across from each other like two statues carved out of shock and adrenaline. Then Meghan whispered, barely audible, "She pushed me to this." Lily whispered back, "No, Meghan. You pushed yourself." Jason stepped between them. "We are done. Everyone take a break. Now." And as the hallway emptied, fast, chaotic, trembling, someone said what everyone was thinking. That wasn't just a bad moment. Something inside her snapped. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. There are moments in life that last a breath, and moments that last forever. The hallway incident between Meghan Markle and Lily Collins belonged to the second category. 12 seconds. That's all the leaked clip shows. But inside those 12 seconds, careers trembled, reputations shifted, and an entire studio fell into panic. To understand the alleged slap, to truly see it in all its complexity, we need to break down every micro-moment, every movement, every frame. Because leaks distort context. Because cameras lie. Because angles can mislead. Because a blur can turn into a weaponized narrative. So let's take those 12 seconds apart. Second by second. Breath by breath. Frame by frame. Picture the hallway. Long. Narrow. Harsh fluorescent lights overhead. A polished floor reflecting shadows. The kind of space that exposes everything and hides nothing, except, apparently, the one angle everyone wants. Let's begin. Second one. The clip opens with Meghan stepping into frame from the left side of the hallway. Her stride is quick, not rushed, but purposeful. Her jaw is tight. Her shoulders are squared. You can almost see the adrenaline still buzzing in her veins from the confrontation moments earlier. Lily appears on the right, walking toward the center of the hallway. She's holding a binder, relaxed grip, no defensive posture. Her face is calm, too calm given the tension seconds earlier. Almost serene. This contrast hits immediately. Meghan looks charged. Lily looks composed. Second two. Meghan says something. Her lips move, her chin dips, her expression sharpens. But there's no audio in the leaked version. We don't know the words. We only know they made Lily stop. Lily halts mid-step. Her brows lift slightly in surprise. She tilts her head. They say every Hollywood scandal starts with a whisper, but this one began with a slap. Not a metaphorical slap, not a symbolic slap, but an actual moment captured on a hallway security camera deep inside Amazon MGM Studios. A moment that director Jason Orley never intended the world to see. A moment that has already sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, the royal gossip sphere, and the entire internet. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. And the question everyone keeps asking is simple. How did it come to this? How did Meghan Markle, former actress, self-styled global humanitarian, and yes, the Duchess of Sussex, end up in a heated confrontation with Lily Collins, one of Hollywood's most respected and gracious talents? How did the tension rise so fast, so suddenly, that witnesses claim Meghan lifted her hand, and Lily didn't move at all? And why, of all days, did this explosive footage leak now? Before we get into the layers, the hidden audio, the crew testimonies, the internal Amazon MGM emails, the sudden PR scramble, we need to start with the one detail that everyone is still arguing about. Did Meghan really demand that Lily Collins call her Duchess on set? Because depending on who you ask, that moment wasn't just a disagreement. It was the spark, the trigger, the domino that made everything else collapse. So let's pull back the curtain. Let's step into that hallway. Let's freeze the frame right before everything fell apart. But to understand why that footage is so explosive, why it has every Hollywood exec sweating and every royal commentator salivating, we need to understand why tension was already building long before the slap allegedly happened. This wasn't a one-off confrontation. This wasn't a moment that came out of nowhere. According to several crew members, the energy on set had been off from the moment Meghan arrived. People whispered, people watched, people waited, because everyone could feel it. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start with the hook, the one piece of the leak that the public keeps replaying over and over. In the clip, Meghan Markle takes one step forward. Lily Collins steps back. Meghan lifts her hand, and the camera angle shifts just enough that you can't see the full contact. There's a sound, faint, unclear, almost swallowed by the hallway acoustics. Some say it's a slap. Some say it's a prop case falling. Others say it's something in between. But here's what no one disputes. Lily's face. The stillness. The shock. Small, controlled, but unmistakable. Not fear. Not anger. Just surprise. What happened right before that moment? That's where everything gets messy. Sources say Lily had refused to address Meghan as Duchess on set. She insisted on using first names. Professional. Equal. Simple. But Meghan reportedly wanted the title acknowledged. After all, it was part of her identity, part of her public image, part of the brand she had built. Was it insecurity? Was it protocol? Was it something deeper? That's where this story grips people. Everyone has their own theory. Some say Meghan was having a difficult day. Others say Lily was pushing boundaries. Some insist it was all a misunderstanding that spiraled into chaos. But one thing is certain. Director Jason Orley was caught in the middle of something he could not control, and something he never expected would go viral. Now, before you assume Meghan was the villain or Lily was the victim, you need to hear what several crew members told investigators privately. Because according to them, the situation wasn't black and white. It wasn't even gray. It was something far more complicated, shaped by personalities, pressures, politics, titles, and egos. And none of those pieces are as simple as they appear online. So ask yourself, what kind of moment would push a rising Hollywood legend like Lily Collins to stand her ground? What kind of pressure would push Meghan Markle, a woman who has spent years carefully crafting her public persona, into reacting so visibly, so emotionally, and so quickly? And why did Amazon MGM executives move with lightning speed the minute they learned the footage was leaked? Think about that. Why would a studio panic over a hallway clip? Why would lawyers get involved? Why would internal emails suddenly start using phrases like incident, violation, high-profile conflict, and public risk? Why did everyone in the building suddenly stop talking? You see, the slap, real or not, is not the whole story. It's simply the flashpoint. The real story is what happened behind the scenes afterward. The meetings, the shutdowns, the threats, the NDAs, the panicked whispers in dressing rooms. The director pacing outside the editing bay. The one assistant who allegedly said, "Oh God, they're going to blame me." But let me ask you this. What if the footage wasn't supposed to exist at all? What if the camera capturing that hallway was never meant to be active? What if someone kept it running on purpose? This is where everything starts unraveling. Because according to leaked internal documents, that hallway camera had been flagged for maintenance the week before, meaning the footage shouldn't have been saved, meaning someone overrode the system, meaning someone wanted a record. And if that's true, why? Who was watching? Who planned for the moment? Who expected something to go wrong? This isn't just Hollywood drama anymore. This is strategy. There's a rumor, and we'll dive deeper in later chapters, that a senior Amazon MGM executive had already been monitoring Meghan's behavior on set due to multiple interpersonal concerns. Another rumor says someone from Meghan's own team asked the studio to enforce protocol sensitivity, which allegedly rubbed several cast members the wrong way. Another version claims Lily herself was warned privately not to provoke Meghan, even though she'd done nothing but show up and work professionally. So whose version is real? We're going to break that down, piece by piece, word by word, every angle, every audio snippet, every eyewitness report, every behind-the-scenes reaction. Because once we unpack the timeline, the build-up, the confrontation, the calls, the emails, and the aftermath, you'll understand why this story has gripped millions. You'll understand why people are taking sides. You'll understand why Lily Collins has remained impossibly calm, some would say too calm. And you'll understand why Meghan Markle's team has reacted with unusual silence. But before we go further, let's look at the part of the story that almost no one is focusing on, even though it might be the most important detail of all. Jason Orley didn't leak the clip. At least, not directly. But someone with access to Jason's encrypted notes did. Someone who had clearance. Someone who had a reason. And once we reach Chapter 9, you'll learn exactly who that person is, and why exposing this moment was not a betrayal, but a warning. A warning meant for Amazon, for Meghan, for Lily, and for the entire Hollywood system that keeps pretending on-set behavior doesn't matter until it explodes. But for now, let's hold the frame. Let's stand in that hallway. Let's sit with that tension right before Meghan lifted her hand. The moment the air shifted. The moment Lily stopped breathing for half a second. The moment the crew froze. The moment that one camera, the one that shouldn't have been recording, captured a flicker of something raw, unfiltered, and dangerously human. Because what happened after that moment would change everything. But the truth of what happened before, that's where the real story begins. And once you understand what was brewing, the egos, the pressure, the expectations, the history, you'll see why this confrontation was inevitable. Because when two worlds collide, royalty and Hollywood, someone always tries to claim the crown. There are leaks, and then there are detonations. Most Hollywood leaks slip quietly into the world like a soft breeze, a blurry cast photo, a rumor about a script rewrite, a casual crew member spilling minor drama over drinks. But this was different. This wasn't a whisper. This wasn't a rumor. This was a digital grenade dropped into the center of Amazon MGM's pristine empire. A single clip, 12 seconds long, grainy, shaky, no audio at first, just motion, shadows, a hallway, and two silhouettes. Then a raised hand, a muffled sound, a collective gasp from the portion of the internet that saw it first. The clip appeared at 3:14 a.m. Los Angeles time on a private entertainment industry Discord server. It wasn't supposed to. Only about 90 people were there when it dropped, and only 3 of them were awake. But within minutes, it had been ripped, reposted, mirrored, and screen-recorded until no legal thread in the world could force it back into the shadows. What made it even more shocking was the sender, an anonymous profile named Footage Fisher. No introduction, no caption, no explanation, just the link. And then silence. But you know how Hollywood works. Silence never stays silent for long. It becomes noise, and noise becomes chaos. Within an hour, journalists were DMing each other in frantic bursts, asking the same questions we are unpacking right now. Is that really Meghan Markle? Is that really Lily Collins? Is the hand what it looks like? Is Amazon MGM trying to bury this? Where did this footage even come from? And here's the kicker. According to internal Amazon MGM tracking logs, That exact hallway camera had its footage classified as restricted access, security only. Which means only 3 departments could have possibly touched it. Studio security, post-production, or the director's office. And who's the director? Jason Orley. So naturally, the first suspect was him. But was it really? Before we get into suspects, motives, or how the footage escaped, we need to talk about what was seen and what wasn't. Because the hallway camera that recorded this moment wasn't designed for cinematic clarity. It wasn't a Red camera or an ARRI Alexa. It was a basic, industrial-grade unit mounted high in the ceiling, meant to catch trespassers or props going missing, not celebrities in emotional confrontation. Still, even with its low resolution, the clip shook the industry. In the earliest frames, you see Meghan Markle walking toward Lily Collins, posture stiff, head slightly raised. Her expression is hard to read, but her movements are clipped, almost too precise. Lily, by contrast, stands with one arm crossed and the other holding a script binder. She doesn't move much at all. Then Meghan closes the distance by 1 step. Lily steps back by half. Then Meghan raises her hand. It's impossible to tell whether the hand is meant to emphasize a point, to gesture, to warn, or to strike. A crew member's shadow flinches in the corner. The clip ends abruptly mid-motion. No context. No explanation. Just 1,000 questions in 12 seconds that set the world on fire. But you know what's even stranger? The metadata. Yes, the metadata. Because when tech analysts examined the leaked file, they found something Amazon MGM didn't want anyone outside the studio to know. The footage had been exported using a password only 2 people had access to. Jason Orley was one. A post-production coordinator named Evan Kay was the other. Both insist they didn't leak it. Both gave Amazon statements. Both lawyered up immediately. But here's what Amazon didn't expect. Someone else had been copied into the file export chain months ago without authorization. An extra login. An unexpected transfer. A digital ghost inside the system. Someone who shouldn't have been there. And that's when the studio realized this wasn't an accident. It wasn't a hack. It was internal. Planned. Intentional. But let's circle back to the moment the leak hit public consciousness, because that part is fascinating. It wasn't TMZ. It wasn't Variety. It wasn't a blog or a royal watcher. It was a group chat. A mess of aspiring filmmakers, editors, animators, and assistants sharing memes at 3 a.m. Suddenly one of them typed, "Bro, please tell me that's not who I think it is." And then the floodgates opened. Imagine waking up to your phone exploding with messages like, "Dude, what is this? Is that Meghan slapping Lily? This will end careers. Amazon is done. Delete this before lawyers find it." But you know the internet. Deleting doesn't delete. Screenshots don't die. And once a clip like this hits the bloodstream, it becomes unstoppable. The first mainstream account to post, it was a royal gossip page with nearly 1 million followers. They uploaded it with one chilling caption. "Things are about to get messy." Amazon MGM's legal team started firing off takedown notices within minutes. They went after Twitter. They went after TikTok. They went after Instagram accounts posting frame-by-frame breakdowns. But every time they deleted a copy, 10 new ones popped up. Amazon's biggest mistake? They panicked visibly. You never panic visibly. The harder they tried to erase the clip, the more people believed it must be real. Because if it wasn't real, if it didn't show something damaging, why try to bury it at 4 a.m.? This is where it gets interesting. Because one anonymous Amazon employee told a journalist something that made the entire situation even more explosive. He said, "If the public is shocked by the clip, just wait until they hear the audio." Wait, audio? There's audio? Apparently, yes. Hallway cameras at Amazon MGM do record audio. Not all, but several do, for safety verification. So now imagine what that means. Imagine what that audio might include. A tone, a raised voice, a slap sound, unmistakable, a gasp, a confrontation, or a sentence like, "Call me by my title." Or worse, "You don't talk to me like that." We don't know yet, but someone does. Someone has heard it. And according to insiders, that audio is even more damaging than the footage itself. So let's talk about Amazon's internal reaction, because their panic wasn't subtle. At 6:42 a.m., barely 3 hours after the leak, Amazon's internal Slack channels were locked. Not closed, locked. Employees were suddenly unable to search keywords like Meghan, Lily, hallway, footage, or incident. Messages containing those terms auto-deleted. That kind of reaction doesn't happen unless someone at the top is terrified. But the real chaos started when a suspicious email thread surfaced in an internal inbox titled, "Footage Review, Markle/Collins Interaction, Urgent." The email included a timeline, timestamps, angles, camera identifiers, and a simple line at the bottom. Director needs to approve redaction before legal assessment. Redaction? Why redaction? What did they need to remove? Even stranger, 2 minutes after that email went out, it was recalled. And then a second email came from a different executive that read, "Delete all prior communications. This matter is classified under High-Profile Talent Incident Protocol." High-Profile Talent Incident Protocol. Yes, that's a real thing. A whole manual. Every major studio has one. It's used when celebrities lose their tempers, break contracts, violate protocols, or cross lines they shouldn't cross. Usually it's minor, yelling at a PA, refusing wardrobe, showing up late intoxicated. But rarely does it involve footage that could go viral. Rarely does it involve something physical. And never does it involve a situation where royalty, even former working royalty, is part of the conflict. Studio higher-ups knew this was unlike anything they had handled before. They also knew it could become catastrophic. Because here's the truth that Amazon didn't want out. Executives had already been monitoring interpersonal friction concerns involving Meghan Markle weeks before the incident. And Lily Collins wasn't the first person who refused to use Meghan's title on set. In fact, one assistant director reportedly said, she kept correcting employees. She wanted Duchess. Not Meghan. Not MS Markle. Just Duchess. And people didn't know how to respond because, well, this isn't the palace. But let's ask the real question. Why does a hallway clip matter so much? Why would Amazon MGM scramble, panic, and deploy lawyers over something that might have been harmless? Here's why. Because in Hollywood, everything is about narrative. If a star strikes another star, even allegedly, it becomes a headline. If a star demands to be addressed by a royal title on a set where no one else uses titles, it becomes a punchline. If a studio covers up something physical, it becomes a scandal. If all three happen at once, that's a PR wildfire. And in a world where Meghan Markle's public image is already under constant scrutiny, a single clip suggesting entitlement, aggression, or violence becomes weaponized immediately. But here's the twist that most people don't know. That 12-second leak wasn't the full clip. The full hallway video is 31 seconds long, which means 19 seconds are missing. Fragments. Trimmed frames. Maybe intentionally cut. What's in those 19 seconds? A crew member walking in? A clearer angle of the motion? A verbal exchange? Jason Orley rushing into frame? Another witness? No one outside the studio has seen that part. Not yet. But the person who leaked the shorter 12-second version wants the world to see something specific, without revealing everything at once. That's strategic. That's deliberate. And that leads us to the next critical question. Who leaked it? Everyone has theories. Some say it was a disgruntled crew member offended by Meghan's behavior. Others believe it was a Lily supporter trying to protect her reputation before the studio spun the narrative against her. Some think it was a union rep. Others whisper it was someone from Meghan's own team, strategically leaking a partial clip to control the damage before the full footage got out. But the most chilling theory? Someone high-level leaked it as a warning. A warning to Amazon. A warning to Jason Orley. A warning to the cast. A warning to Meghan. A reminder that everything you do on a set, every word, every gesture, every confrontation, is being watched. And nothing stays buried forever. The hallway clip was just the beginning. What came after? The audio, the internal investigations, the HR files, the crew testimonies. That would change everything. But before we get there, before we dissect the slap moment itself, we have to look at the hours leading up to it, the tension simmering beneath the surface, the unspoken dynamics that prepared the ground for the explosion. Because no explosion happens without pressure. And Meghan Markle's arrival that morning set off a chain reaction nobody was prepared for. But what happened before the confrontation? What built up the tension? What warning signs were ignored? That's where we go next. Something felt wrong the moment Meghan Markle walked onto the set that morning. No one could quite describe it. Not the lighting team, not the script supervisor, Not even the barista who delivered the oat milk latte that Meghan sent back twice. But everyone felt it. A certain heaviness in the air. A kind of static, like the seconds right before lightning strikes. And when you ask crew members what exactly was off, most of them say the same thing. It wasn't anything big, just everything.